Happy International Chardonnay Day, guys. I'm recording this episode in England, in Bournemouth, on the south coast of England. This is a part of the English Wine Weeks. There's some more coming. Today I recorded a super cool interview in the vineyards together with my friend Tommy Grimshaw. That will come out on Wednesday next week. Today we will focus on the things that have happened this week in the wine industry, and one focus will be the UK, not only the results of the Judgement of London, but also a tiny recap on the London Wine Fair and some other interesting and royal news straight out of England. We will have a brief look on France and Italy and how the US will deal with wine next year. Have fun with the episode. Weekly update number 160. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 160, the weekly update on May 25th, straight out of England. We'll start directly with the feedback from the London Wine Fair. The first article that has been published was on the drinks business. London Wine Fair sees visitor decline but improvement in audience quality. And this was also my feeling, that there is a lower quantity of visitors but a larger quality of conversations. And this was also the feedback of some exhibitors I talked to and also some visitors that have known the fair for quite a while, for the last couple of years. We will do a wrap up of the London Wine Fair in general in a separate episode, probably maybe in 2 weeks. I will talk about some interesting exhibitors I visited, some interesting drinks I've tasted, and maybe some news I caught up. In general, it was quite interesting to be there compared to Vinitaly, to Wine Paris, or to ProWine. It's way smaller. It's a really interesting building. It's the Olympia, I guess it's called Olympia Hall or Olympia Center, built in 1929. Nobody was able, by the way, to tell me the history of that building. It's a super interesting building. It looks like a mixture between a venue and a station, like a train station. But actually, even though there were more visitors in place, it was quite calm, so you can talk to each other in a quite relaxed way, which was super cool. Yeah, there used to be more on the balcony because it's in an area with several floors. Yeah, we will wrap up it in an extra episode. I guess one of the things that will be in the press in the next couple of days and that have also been reported was the Judgement of London, giving tribute to the original Judgement of Paris that was held by Steven Spurrier in 1976, where American wines competed against French wines. This time it was a bit different. So the old world was challenging the new world or vice versa, and it was super interesting what came out in the end. The white wine section was dominated by the New World, where especially Australia and New Zealand really showed their potential, their greatness and their quality, and vice versa. On the red side, the Old World was dominant with Jean-Louis Chave and Mouton, 2009, that won the competition after, or that was the runner-up after Jean-Louis Chave in the red section. Actually, the top scoring wine overall was the Pegasus Bay Riesling from Waipara in New Zealand 2011, and I heard a lot of great feedback on that wine in general. So yeah, it was super interesting to listen to that and also to get a feeling that many people in the wine industry have stated over the last, I would say, months, that it's getting tougher and tougher to differentiate or to separate between old and new world wine style. They're coming closer. Everything is rising in quality, and it's not even necessary anymore to talk about old world and new world, because I mean, we are talking about quality, and this is also the general trend towards drinking less but better, higher quality, less quantity. And to me personally, this is a good trend that we are seeing. What also came out during the week were the first brands to receive the Royal Warrant. So King Charles announces the companies that are allowed to cooperate with the royal family, with the royal household. And it's been, I guess, 4 brands that have been announced in the beginning. It was one champagne brand, Laurent Perrier. Then there was one beer brand, Shepherd's Neame, I guess it's pronounced. And then there was the company behind Lafroig, behind the Riesling and the whiskey, sorry. And there is an English sparkling wine, Camel Valley. When I was browsing through the article, I was like, seriously, there's no English brand, but in the end, Camel Valley is the producer that has been announced to be able to receive the Royal Warrant. And super interesting to me, and also because I have kind of a relationship to Camel Valley. I have never been there. I would love to go there. Maybe this will happen in November. We're still in the planning of the current trip to England. When I bought my first English sparkling wines in 2018 on an auction, this was not only a case of Gisborne 2012 Blanc de Noir, it was also a case of 2013 Camel Valley, and this was more like this straight, very traditional, high acidic English sparkling wine style with lemons, with a very high level of acidity, super straight, and almost, at least it felt bone dry. This has changed a bit over time, and Camel Valley has been a brand that was very present in the market, is very present in the market. It's sold at Waitrose, for example, Fortnum & Masons, Tate Modern and Hakkasan in London. So quite a brand that people might know, and right now it's been announced to be able to call themselves Royal Warrant holder. Yes, maybe it's not super interesting for the international market, but in the UK it is quite a thing, and many people, many brands try to get that Royal Warrant. We've talked about that, I guess, at the end of last year, because they announced it has to be renewed, and many brands tried to get that because there is, I guess you get a broader reach, and of course you can use that for marketing as well. There's a huge presence during many events held by the royal family, so everybody wants to be there, and Camel Valley finally managed to be there. Another interesting news that came out this week from England: short measures of beer and wine are widespread. So pubs and restaurants discover that there is a demand for smaller beverages, wine and beer, so in both categories, going for, I don't know, 175 milliliter glass of wine or a half pint of beer, because people just want to drink less, or they want to spend less money, because of course everything rose in price. And this is of course paying to the trend that we currently see, that people drink less and want to spend less money, and maybe the general approach to drinking will change over time. So this is more like things you would enjoy for special occasions in specific places during social gatherings, but at least if you want to spend more for the moment, for the experience, and for the product in general. And I guess this is not only a thing for the UK. This study has been done in the UK through UK's pubs and bars. We will see that in other countries in Europe as well, and probably in the US. Talking about rises or increases and decreases, a news that has been on this podcast last year as well. The article is in German, but there's others available in English. I will put the links in the show notes. France's new super bubbles is the article's title, and it talks about the rise of Crémant. So Crémant has communicated a rise in 2022 of, 8 or 10%, and the same happened in 2023, so 4.7%. With over 6 million bottles on 108 million bottles sold in 2023. And on the other side, champagne saw a decrease again of 8.2% to 299 million bottles. So under this magical level, this magical amount of 300 million bottles. And the trend is going on. Champagne decreasing, Crémant increasing, Cava increasing, other sparkling wines increasing as well, but champagne is going the way backwards. I guess maybe due to the price, maybe other interesting alternatives are getting more present for customers. I won't say they're getting into the market, but you spot them. There is a bigger presence, especially in the US. We talked about the marketing campaigns of Cava and Crémant in the US. We talked about the Prosecco campaign in the UK that also built up or tried to build a better reputation on Prosecco. And this is everything that is a bit, yeah, let's say working against champagne. And of course, what I also discovered the last couple of days, and there is a rising demand for English sparkling. We don't talk about quality levels because it has always been high, and I have the feeling that the focus is more on quality than ever. Scandinavian market is super interested in English sparkling, and hopefully one day Germany will discover it as well as I have already done. And I'm a really big fan of English sparkling, and compared to the price value you get, English sparkling versus champagne, I would usually go either to a good English sparkling wine or maybe a grower champagne. But with the success of grower champagne in the last couple of years, the prices of course increased, and you can get a good, really good bottle of sparkling wine from England for, I would say, 40 to 45 euro if it is available in your country. At least in place in England, it's definitely possible. We take a little step on continental Europe to Italy, where one of the oldest wine families in the Italian wine industry announced, Marchesi Antinori, that they have invested in a robotics company. The robotics company is called Vitibot. We talked about them in, I don't know which episode it was, but a couple of weeks ago. And basically, Marchesi Antinori said, we have held some experiments, we did some trials with the company, with the equipment. We are super convinced of the future of this category of the machines, and we have invested in that company. And they join a list of quite not only successful but big brands such as Maison Röderer, Mertelmum Perrier Jouet, Laurent Perrier, Piper Heidsieck, Charles Heidsieck, who are all convinced of the product, of the future of this category, and that will use this technology in the vineyards and probably also in the wine cellar to be more efficient, to work maybe more sustainable, and also to get this lack of staff a bit under control, this staff shortage that we see not only in gastronomy but also in the wine industry. And robotics can be a huge thing. There's many other advantages in working with robotics, especially in the vineyard. We will talk about that in a separate episode regarding robotics or looking at robotics on the usage of AI, maybe blockchain technology. I haven't figured out when this interview will come out, but I guess it will be part of the marketing sips we have once in a month. So we'll keep you updated on that podcast. Going from Europe to the US. The US wine market struggles. The global wine market struggles. And if you think you have seen everything and the wine industry is bad now, look at these news. The feds prepare to call wine unsafe. So the World Health Organization announced in 2023 that no amount of alcohol is safe to consume, and the US authorities are currently thinking of labeling wine as unsafe to consume in any quantity. And of course, this will have an effect on consumption overall. They did some studies where they asked people, will you consume wine, beer, or alcohol in general if it is labeled as being unsafe? And 2/3 said, no, I will definitely go down in purchase, in consumption, because apparently there is a problem in consuming alcohol. And of course, it's a huge thing at the moment. It's in the press almost everywhere, not only in the US, but specifically in the US. The president of Wine America has been on an interview and he said the current guidelines are already pretty anti-alcohol and we don't need it to be even more strict. We have suffered enough and we don't want to suffer more. And what most of the people working in the wine industry do is usually they try to conquer the disadvantages and especially the things that have been announced by the World Health Organization with a study called the J-curve that showed that people who consume alcohol moderately live longer and more healthy than teetotalers. What we know today is that there have been mistakes made in that study, and this is not steady enough to be, let's say, used anymore for the argumentation on alcohol could be healthy in a small amount. And this is why the World Health Organization changed its view on alcohol, has been communicating it since then. And right now, as Canada already did, the US will apparently change their view on alcohol as well and will label wine as unhealthy, probably, or at least unsafe, not unhealthy, unsafe for consumption. Interesting move. I said this more than once. I guess there will be changes in the future. We see a decrease in consumption. This is a complex system, guys. I mean, wine is a part of culture. I love wine, wine as a product, wine as part of the culture. And there is many other people who see it like that, but we should consider rethinking the way we consume alcohol. Of course, it's part of culture. Of course, it's a big industry, and many people base their living, their life on the wine industry. Nevertheless, alcohol is a huge thing, and we definitely have to think about our consumption. I'm a fan of drink less but better, focus on higher quality, less on quantity. I can't say this often enough. There will be a change, guys. There will be a change. And of course, every side has its arguments. What I can recommend is read. So educate yourself on everything and decide on your own what you want to do. Like consume the way you consume today, consume more, consume less, or stop consuming alcohol. This is all on you. I can recommend read as much as you can. I put some links in the show notes, and today when I open a tasting, I usually say, hey, my name is Alex, I'm a sommelier, and I barely drink alcohol. I only drink the good stuff, and this is not talking about high quality and expensive wine. It's more about the decision, is this glass of wine worth drinking it? And yeah, giving my body the stress of dealing with alcohol. And that's it. And I mean, of course, I get the business side of the wine industry. I mean, I work in the industry. I'm a consultant in the wine industry. I love working with alcohol products, with alcohol-free products. And of course, we can also have, or we at least can try to have, an objective look on the category and on the product. Interesting and slightly funny news from the wine industry in the US. There's an airline, it's quite a small airline, a US airline, that allows passengers to check in a case of wine for free when they go on their flight. And I mean, they're located in the middle of Sonoma, hundreds of wineries are around, and tourists want to buy some cases of wine, or at least some bottles of wine, take it on the plane. That wasn't possible due to the rules we all know. They change a bit. I was quite surprised when they scanned my hand luggage on my way to London that I was allowed to bring a bottle of water and a small bottle of champagne into the country. It will change, especially with the availability of specific machines, of specific technology. And this airline says if the product is sealed correctly, you are allowed to bring a case of 12 bottles on the plane. So guys, this means you have to be more careful when you go to Sonoma and you want to just enjoy it and don't bring bottles home, because usually, let me rephrase that. Sometimes when I go to wine regions, I decide to take the plane just with hand luggage, that I'm not dealing with, should I bring or could I bring a bottle or some bottles home with me? So it's kind of a protection for myself. And right now, at least with that airline, it's possible. New challenges, guys and girls, new challenges. Nevertheless, super cool thing, super interesting, and maybe there will be other airlines offering the same. But I would say, looking at the amount of hand luggage that was on that flight from Munich to London, there's barely space for more wine or for more luggage in general, because I mean, everybody was bringing 1 or 2 cases on the plane without checking it in, because I mean, luggage has become expensive. So flying with hand luggage, and I mean, flying to the US, you are allowed to bring hand luggage up to 18 kilograms. Are you serious? This is crazy. And where do I need to check in my luggage if I'm allowed to bring 18 kilograms on a plane? Maybe we should rethink that opportunity. Nevertheless, if you're in Sonoma and you fly with Avella Airlines, then you're allowed to bring your case of wine for free. last news of the week. And this was super exciting because, as you might know, I also have a background in geology. I'm interested in history, and this is super, super cool. A winery that was in restoration, renovation in Austria found mammoth bones in their wine cellar. So they were digging, they were trying to restore everything, and then there was, oh, there's a bone. Oh, there's more bones. And then they called the National Museum of History and they started digging, and what they found until today was 3 different mammoths. That's super cool, super interesting, and especially in Central Europe, we know only few things about mammoths. I mean, we know that they have existed in parallel to human beings, or to our ancestors, but what we don't know is, I mean, they were huge animals. If you don't know mammoths, those were the elephants with the long brown hair. Some people might know it from Ice Age, from the movie, like with the long teeth. But what we don't know is how we were able to hunt them and kill them, because apparently they were quite big, they were quite dominant, like quite strong animals. And maybe we just built traps and then they fell into it and died. And maybe we will be able to recover or to restore some moments of hunting from our ancestors with this specific finding. I will definitely stay with that news, because this is so exciting for me, guys. I mean, maybe not for you, but can you imagine you're in your wine cellar and you start digging a bit and then you find a bone of a mammoth? At least it's for me. So I put the link in the show notes. You can have a look. I guess there will be more in the future coming up on different newsletters. I wish you a very pleasant, great weekend. Enjoy the sun. We see you next week on Wednesday with the interview with my mate Tommy Grimshaw, recorded in the vineyards of Dorset. Have a great weekend, guys. Ciao, ciao.